Hey everybody, Brandon here from B2R Investing and Financial Talk. Today I came up with an acrostic that I thought was really good. That as you're looking at properties, you must know your rents. So stay tuned to what that means. And I pray that you have stewardship of the knowledge and money you were entrusted with. Stay tuned. Okay, everybody, let's get started. Starting with this, you must know your rents as you evaluate properties to own. And yes, I mean rents. You need to know the market so well that I started with this acrostic. The first one is rents. As you're looking to evaluate the properties you're going to purchase, to keep it safe and to mitigate risks, if it takes max market rents, and there's been a lot of underwriting this way over the last few years, and especially in syndications, if you must get max market rents to make this property cash flow, you have an unsafe property to purchase. When I'm looking at properties, I'm looking at what average rents are, and I want to make sure I have a healthy cash flow with low average rents. So when I'm looking at rents, I want to be 5% below the average market rents, and with that 5% rent projection, I still want a cash flow healthy, and we'll get to what those healthy terms are here in a little bit, so stay tuned. The same thing when I'm looking at break-even analysis. I'm taking all the expenses, everyone including taxes, insurance, any type of maintenance, any type of utilities, all the expenses including reserves, plus the principal payment or plus the payment on the mortgage. I want to be at 15% or higher where my break-even point is to average market rents. This helps protect your property, as we've seen in the last year especially, rents, because especially here in the Sun Belt area, rents have come down about 7% in my area, but I projected for that and I'm still producing healthy cash flow. So the first one in the rents acrostic is you need to know rents, and you should underwrite for 5% below average market rents that it should have healthy cash flow. The second one is expenses. When you include in your expenses, I've seen lots of people that don't put all the expenses into the owning of that real estate investment property. You want to include your taxes and the property taxes once you purchase it. Don't just use the current taxes where they are today, because a lot of times when a sale is triggered, or for me when I do the build, the values go up. I project what the property taxes will be, but then I also know that the name of the game, I do protest the property taxes every year, which has saved me money. Many times, if I would have never protested my property taxes, I have one property I'm thinking of that would be negative cash flow if I didn't protest like we can here in Texas, and maybe you can in your state, to help protect the value and protect those expenses. Same thing with insurance. Insurance has gone up. So you may want to look at ways to mitigate your insurance cost, look at what the insurance company has as the replacement value. It may be too high, and that may include look at the value and back out the dirt. They don't replace the dirt. They only replace the cost of the building. So you might have that value too high. And then one other thing is make sure you have the right deductible on it. As I've been saving for reserves, I can self-insure a portion, so I'm doing a very high deductible, and then I'm also making sure that the value on the insurance protection is right for the property. One of the properties I had was way too high, and I got them to lower the value, and it actually reduced the insurance by $900 on the insurance, getting it to the right value, not being overinsured of insurance that you don't need. So protect those expenses, but also include reserves for maintenance, repairs, long-term capital expenditures, and vacancy. Historical average on most properties has been 15%. But if you're holding a property that has low rents, that percentage many times could be higher depending on the location and the amount of rents, because let's just say replacing a water heater, that price for a property that gets $2,500 in rent is pretty much the same price for a property that gets $1,000 in rent. So you need to have the appropriate reserve percentage. The end to the rents is neighborhood. You need to know your buy box. Are you in the right neighborhood? This goes with the expenses. If you're in that D-class neighborhood, or even worse, where you have to wear a bulletproof vest to go to it, yeah, you might cash flow very good, but long term, you're going to have to do a major remodels, lots of skip outs, lots of repairs, so you better hold reserves accordingly. Choose the right neighborhoods. I choose neighborhoods on my single family builds. I'm choosing neighborhoods that are predominantly owner occupied. They keep the places looking nicer, and even the renters feel compelled to keep their properties nicer. I'm looking for predominantly, for my properties, in that B-class neighborhoods. I get a lot of appreciation for the long term. I get good rents, and I have, over these last 4.5 years, had very little maintenance cost other than a couple of things breaking. I've even had my renters dress up and decorate their doors, decorate the property, taking good care, and even when they're moving out, willing to do touch-up paints so that they get their deductibles back. I'm looking for the appropriate neighborhoods for my buy box, that I get lots of good renters, healthy appreciation, and just a good protection on my assets. Location matters to the value of your property and the rents you get. So look at the appropriate neighborhood, the entire look at the economic situation, the number of jobs, the number of industries, not being tied to one specific employer or a specific industry. You want to have an area where the job growth and the population growth is happening. So neighborhood is the letter N. The next one is terms. This is terms for the loan that you get. All the terms. When you're buying 1 to 4 family properties, you want to protect that property and protect your expenses, keeping them steady and stable, using fixed rate, long-term 30-year mortgages. These adjustable mortgages, there's many properties that are in jeopardy right now with people using short-term 5, 7-year, 10-year notes, and the rates are coming due, or the term is coming due on a balloon note right now, when they had 3 and 4% interest just 3 or 4 years ago, and now these balloon notes are coming and they're having to readjust at 7 to 8%, and you're seeing a lot of properties go negative. Protect your property for the long term. Get fixed rate, 30-year debt. The same thing with your loan to value. The best way to protect it is to stick with 70% loan to value, and there is a specific reason that I choose 70%. I used to be in banking. I've been in finance, real estate, and now investing for 30 years. I've watched people lose their property doing high leveraged debt, and the expenses, like we've seen, rents have declined, property taxes have gone up, insurance has gone up, and it's went negative, or they had a balloon note and the interest rate reset. You want to get those terms right. Stay at 70%. If you were to choose to sell it, you have options at 70%. Figuring resell, the cost to transfer using a traditional realtor, and closing cost, it's roughly 8 to 9%, but I use 10% as easy math. If you were to have to sell and you're desperate to sell, you have to discount the price. The typical average is 10% discount to get it unloaded quick. If you are at 80% loan to value, you're at break even at best. But if you're having to sell, you're probably needing money in your pocket, and that final 10% is, at the worst case scenario, at least money in your pocket. So you want to have the right terms. The fixed rate, 30-year, and starting off at 70% loan to value. The S is the final one. Simple returns. This is not complicated math. What you're looking at is putting money down and getting a cash-on-cash yield. Look and know what average is in your market. In my market, the average is close to 3%, between 3 and 4%. You must know average because you want to buy great deals. Whoever wants to be average. You want to get great deals. So you're looking at double or triple the return from average deals. So you're looking at that yield of maybe it's 7 to 10% cash on cash yield. And the other I would recommend is a healthy starting cash flow per door. I look for $250 a door as my starting cash flow, and yields I'm looking at, even with the low average market rents, I'm looking for yields between 9 and 10%, and typically getting 10% with low average market rents. This is how you protect your property. You must know your rents. I hope this helps. Rents, expenses, your neighborhood, the terms, and simple returns. It's as simple as that. Till next time.